Please tell me how you feel. Please show me what is real. Please dance me through the night. Please show me with your light that only love is real. Only love is real.
Hi, I'm Lorna Patten from Open Up Communication. Love yourself. That's a great notion. In fact, it's the only thing that really makes a difference to the quality of your life. It's the one thing that when activated and acted upon and consciously chosen can literally change everything. And yet, gee, we have got a lot of baggage around the whole concept of self-love. Certainly when I was at school, it was considered an insult. Oh, she loves herself. You know, the notion that esteeming yourself, giving yourself some positive acknowledgement, letting people know that you feel that you're actually okay, that was certainly frowned upon in my youth. Now I know the world we live in today, this new millennium, the whole notion of liking yourself, loving yourself is not as foreign, and yet it still runs pretty deep, the fear we have about it, the resistance we have to actually, actively loving ourselves. So what does it actually mean to love yourself? What does it actually mean to treat yourself with loving respect rather than condemnation and criticism? I've worked with hundreds and thousands of people over the last 25 years. And let me tell you, the single biggest issue that human beings have, certainly in our Western world, is the whole notion of self-love. And yet, as I said, it's the thing that makes the biggest difference. So if you want to learn how to love yourself, if you want to actively engage in the process and practice of self-love, then you need to get clear about a couple of things first. You need to be clear about who is this self that I'm meant to love. Well, I'd like to suggest that it's a pretty simple answer to the question. You are simply perfectly you. There's only one of you on the planet. What's not to love? I'm not suggesting, however, that you need to love all your behaviours or that you might even want to love all your behaviours, because of course you don't. And yet when you love you, the one who is choosing to behave that way, you actually have more choices about how to behave differently. When you engage in the process and practice of loving yourself, you get the opportunity to actually treat yourself like somebody that you love. Now I know it's a great concept, and a lot of people say to me, oh, as a concept, Lorna, it's fabulous. But practicing it is really hard. I agree, it's not easy, the practice of self-love. It's actually a discipline. It actually requires a willingness to put yourself at the top of your list, to look at yourself as being somebody worth loving, and to start giving yourself the kinds of experiences that you want to have. It's about choosing deliberately how you want to think about things. Because the really interesting thing about choosing deliberately how you think is that that absolutely impacts how you feel. And it's our feelings that drive an enormous amount of our behaviours. Certainly our automatic habitual behaviours are often driven by some emotional trigger. So one of the first steps you need to take on the path to loving yourself is you need to be willing to put yourself inside the love that you have for others. I know you love people, but do you include yourself in that? I was talking to a client recently who told me that, oh yeah, that's right, I'm meant to love myself. I go, man, it sounds like some kind of chore. I'm meant to love myself. I should love myself. Well, actually, all that should stuff, that doesn't work. You could could love yourself. It's actually a choice. Only I want you to notice what happens when you don't. I want you to start to notice what happens when you won't. When you won't put yourself first. When you won't give yourself the love that you so freely give to other people. When you actively sometimes deny that to yourself. There was a time on planet Earth when the notion of denial was considered to be a good thing. There we are again with the judgments, good, bad. But there was. Denial is good. In fact, there's a lot of different cultures and religious orders that practice denial as a form of discipline. I just think it's interesting though. The only thing I've ever noticed goes on with denial is that things tend to get stuck. Denial in and of itself is kind of a very sticky subject. But for the purposes of this discussion today, around self-love, denying the self-love is incredibly, incredibly painful. There are many, many people out there who don't think it's okay to put their needs first. There are many people in the world today who feel that someone else's feelings, thoughts and emotions, behaviours, well-being comes before their own. And we go, yeah, we can understand that, I get it. A mother sacrificing herself for a child. Yeah? A partner putting their partner's needs before their own. There's a lot of agreement for that kind of behaviour in our world. But you know what? It's not true. This whole insidious putting other people first that links to this inability to love ourselves, it's actually not true. You never put anyone first. You're always putting your own needs first. Even when it looks like you're putting their needs first, that's really yours. So you might as well come out of the closet with this whole self-love business. You might as well start to have it be something you want to pursue actively and deliberately. Because without it, not a lot ever is going to change. So loving yourself, it's simple. Read my lips, simple. But that doesn't mean it's easy. In fact, you're going to have to overcome a lifetime of not doing that. So let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at what it actually means to love yourself. I'm not talking about indulge. I'm not talking about just give in to every whim and fancy you've ever had. Although I don't think that's a bad thing either. I think, as I said before, far too much denial are going on. Get out of denial, as a friend of mine once said, and you're on a winner anywhere from there. So get out of the denial pool that says you're not worth loving or that loving yourself is somehow bad, and take a different position. First thing you've got to do is accept that loving yourself is a worthwhile thing to do. Then you've got to choose to do it. And that means actually paying attention to yourself. Getting clear about what you need, what you want, what you feel, what you think. So it's not an isolated thing. Loving yourself doesn't come without its very great friends, tell the truth and be responsible. The three go together. In order to love yourself, you need to tell the truth about who you are. In order to practice being loving to yourself, you need to be responsible for the choices you make and for how you respond. So you can't have one without the other. I often get questions like, but it's selfish to love yourself. What about other people? I go, yeah, what about them? Really, what about them? I get it. We don't live in telephone booths. We don't live in isolation. We live together on the planet. So of course loving other people is important. But you're meant to include yourself in that pool of people that you love. Really? I mean, really, look at it. When was the last time you actually told somebody how you really felt about something or what you really thought about something? particularly when it ran counter to someone else's opinion, or maybe the group's opinion? Do you love yourself enough to tell that kind of truth when it's uncomfortable? Do you have enough self-awareness to be able to put your needs out there without having to compromise yourself for the sake of feeling okay? It's interesting, isn't it, how it all links back together. Love yourself, tell the truth, be responsible. There's a lot to explore, and I look forward to the next time.
That only love is real.